In the end, it took less than 30 years for the world as we know it to fall. 95% of the population died. There were a litany of causes, not that it mattered in the end. Our infrastructure failed, and with no electricity, our communications, lights, and internet failed too. There weren't even enough survivors left to tend the fields and care for the remaining livestock. As if any of us had any of the necessary skills. Those few of us who remained barricaded ourselves into makeshift fortresses, although they had no idea what we thought we were hiding from. To paraphrase that ass T.S. Eliot, not with a bang, but with a whimper, the world ended. Almost. In the late 2050s, the builders ended the crisis by combining biology, precision mechanics, and thermohydraulics to make constructs from the dead, human and otherwise. These automatons took up all the necessary repetitive tasks that keep us alive. The constructs follow algorithms and programmable, mindless cycles. The dead of all species have taken the place of slaves, and like those slaves, they have become the basis on which our recovery and our economy grow. They are everywhere. As humans, we have lost almost everything. But we do have what humanity has always had. We have hope.
Hello, this is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and these amazing people have come tonight and agreed to play a game with me, and that makes me very happy. So happy, in fact, that I didn't get the words in the right order in that last sentence, but you know what I mean. These wonderful people are, but are not these wonderful people are, but are not limited to Thunderscape 7, otherwise known as Robin. Please tell us what you're doing. Give me a second so I can reset my lips.
Well, I do art sometimes, including today, like a maniac. Um, and when I'm not doing art, I am just hanging around on the Discord and here and other places because um, I like to lurk around and have fun.
And your art is spectacular and amazing and evocative. And those 18 faces that if you did in one sitting, which you
I did
referred
it in
to,
like 2 hours.
yeah, which you referred to, I believe, as a fit of madness,
hmm
yes, is now the official art for the episode tonight. So that's right beside me in the pictures here. So thank you for that. And we're gonna have to have a talk later about character bleed. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
uh, thank you for joining us. Next, let's go with Wayward Knight.
Hey, that's me.
That's you.
I'm Wayward Knight, also known as Chris, and you can find me on a lot of different places. Here are my links. I'm an artist and actor, and I do a lot of other things. Um, I am here on Saturday nights playing Stillwater. I am here on Monday nights DMing our Grave New World Buffy the Vampire Slayer game. That's a wild ride. You should come join us. I sort of live on our Discord too, so if you ever want to talk to me, just like at me on our Discord, and you'll get me. Um, I sell my art on the internet. It's in the links there, and that's me.
Thank you. And there, somewhere, or beat me to it, of course, there is the Discord in question. We're all there, and it's an incredibly nice place. You should come and visit, because I'm pretty convinced if you come and visit, you will stay. So,
It's pretty great.
next. Yeah, next. Let's do, because you made a noise. Phil.
I make noises. Yes,
Yes.
I make noises a lot of the time, usually during games like this or games at home that I play that are not open to the public. Sorry.
Open to the
Um,
public. Wow.
Yeah,
Whew.
I know. It's under closed doors and closed.
The OnlyFans
yes.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
okay.
OnlyFans
yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Only my fans are allowed to play.
Strip D&D.
It's okay, because only your fans want to. Hey!
Yeah, that's me. Don't
That's
do
you.
much else.
Okay, that's lots. Plus, you have a whole life, so.
Yeah, life.
Next, because there's only one left, this probably shouldn't catch him as a surprise. Bison _ Stonefist.
Hey. Yeah, that's me. Sorry, wife was talking to me, so I was.
Oh, yes.
confused.
Must do. Yep.
Anyways, yeah, I'm Bison. I do stuff here. On Wednesdays, I play Lioness Longshadow, a Kender fighter in our Shadow of the Dragon Queen game, Sudden Heroes. It's
Yes.
interesting. We are about to fight a Chrono Trigger boss, and I cannot be convinced it is anything but. Wednesdays we wear pink. And on Tuesday, I am about to do something very, very, very foolish. I will be running a game. I'm going to be running Cyberpunk Red. We're calling it Carnage Heights. I'm super excited. I would really wish that if my players would finish their character sheets, that'd be awesome.
Welcome
you know.
to the GM world.
Right?
Everybody, all of us, yeah. Everybody else here that's run even one session is like, yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be Tuesdays. It's Cyberpunk Red.
And I'm going,
Um,
you don't even know. But yeah, but yeah.
And when we don't stream, I generally stream games on my channel, which I just threw up in Twitch.
Thank you. Shouldn't throw
Lately
up in
I've been
Twitch.
playing Breath Edge, which is a open world survival game in space. There's a chicken and a lot of really sarcastic item descriptions.
Yes.
It's super fun. It's super silly. Check it out when I do play. It's currently free on the Epic Game Store. So if you have Epic, check it out.
Yes. And the
Um,
chicken is indestructible, right?
The Invincible Chicken.
Invincible, yes.
It is specifically immortal. They actually say that in like the first
Excellent.
3 minutes.
Because yes, they are. Everybody knows that. You
Yeah.
cannot kill chickens except, well, you know. Never mind. Chickens are immortal unless we say otherwise.
Mm.
But
Chickens are immortal until they aren't.
until they aren't, yes.
Until they aren't. Yes.
To be fair,
it's a test.
To be fair, everything's immortal until it isn't.
So far, so good.
As long as we perceive time in a unidirectional manner. Never mind. We should probably get into the thing. I gotta do me. The channel. Technically, as of now, we are back to 7 days a week. So 7 days a week, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you tune in and we're not there, scheduling, because try running 7 TTRPGs a week and tell me that they all show up. It's not going to happen. So tune in. If we're here, watch. If we're not here, like, tune in the next night. We'll probably be here. That's enough of that. Let's do this. Because this is a change of gear. Like, we left you all asleep in a mansion. No? No? Where did we leave you?
Delilah and Artemis are not asleep.
No?
They
we
stayed
left
up
you
all
all-
night, right?
We left you all in your rooms, though,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it... Sorry.
Delilah is still in Artemis's room, I think.
Right.
Yep.
So, yes.
But we are in a room.
Your guys
We are in a room.
You're in a room. Yes, that's all that this requires.
Oh, I know
So,
what it is.
so you are in this room in this mad woman's mansion. The person who put constructs into their system, their amazing system, for no reason, and then started this whole thing that killed off 95% of the population of the world, and then went to Florence to try and make up for that somehow in one little place in one little city by using constructs that you now realize, I hope, are equally pointless. You've got a half a dozen of them with you, by the way, still following you around. Plus, this entire mansion complex is just there's this interconnected mass. Sid saw them shoveling ash, which isn't something you would think they were programmed for, but somehow they were ready for that, even that. So the next morning, and it's morning. Let's start with the two that are awake, Delilah and Artemis, because you're in the same room and awake. I'm assuming because you had light in the room and outside is horrible. Well, I'll ask. I'm not assuming. Artemis, it's your room. Curtain open or closed?
She probably would not have moved it. So whatever
Okay.
it was when they got in there, I'm
Perfect.
assuming
Oh,
closed then?
yes, because it
Maybe?
was night, which makes this next bit easy. As you're drawing, and Delilah, you are in there as well, one of the household robots comes in, goes over, and pulls open the curtains. You actually have to squint a little bit because the ash has thinned out, and that whole window is just red. Anybody who's been like really close to a forest fire knows the color. And there's so much smoke and ash in the air that it's iridescent and it's got
refracting.
depth and
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a lot of light diffusion.
and weird
Diffusion,
angles.
that's the
Yeah,
word.
and weird angles and no shadows. It's like fluorescent lights, right? There's just the light is bouncing off of every little smoke particle. There's no shadow anywhere. It's just as literally a red sky in the morning. So yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of blinking.
yes, you just realized you stayed up all night. You realized it's dawn. You realized you can tell it's dawn. What do you do?
I feel like, at least for Artemis, there were definitely moments where well, first of all, she's sitting on the kind of the floor leaning against the bed, like frame, I'm assuming, for a poster for some
Yep.
reason. But leaning against that, and so I'm assuming every now and then, like, she would kind of like fall asleep sitting up, but then would wake up again.
Yeah.
It didn't last for long. But she kind of like finally sits up and hears her back crack like 5 different places.
Mhm.
Oh. I think Delilah was completely absorbed in the journals, but has gotten to a point where she's almost on autopilot to that extent where, like, she's not processing stuff anymore. So she's been reading the same paragraph like
Yep.
for 5 attempts.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Well, he looked at that chat. He looked at that library a lot.
You went to that same library over and over and over again. Oh, turn the page, right. But yes. So yeah, the two of you are each just in these other worlds because this world is so miserable and so gray. But then you see
Like,
this.
Artemis has graphite up her arm. Like, she's
Oh,
got
yeah.
like,
Yeah, because you
all
went way
like-
over here and way over here.
yeah,
Perfect. Because that red distracts you for a second, but after you realize what it is, it's just a big red sort of rectangle on the wall, right? And you look back down at what you've done tonight. Let's start with Delilah. You've been through all these journals and all this history. When you look back down at that, and it all kind of, like you said, you were numb, it all kind of catches up to you, sort of just layer after layer after layer after layer of what you've been reading all night. You know the story now. She's flat out
Yeah.
mad. She's nuts. Your hero is Lou to the P.
Yeah.
was. I have to correct that.
Was.
There.
Was.
None of your
Yeah, she's-
squirrel shit.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's a new one. Yeah, these, I mean, just like I don't think the level of devastation has lessened
Mm-hmm.
at all at any point. Like, if anything, like reading all of the journals has just compounded her anger and disgust and rage, and I
So,
like in the very, very, very back of her head there is that like inkling of the beginning of the thought of motivation, but it's still very clouded by these other primal emotions.
so, but those primal emotions in the front, what do you do physically in that moment?
I I think she stands up. Is Artemis like in the bed?
No, she's on the
No.
floor.
Oh, she's on the floor. Okay. Delilah, because I was also leaning against the bed. She stands up. She walks to the bed,
Mm-hmm.
flops down face first, and just screams into the pillows.
Into the
Weird.
absolutely amazing goose down pillows. You go in so deep, you scream so loud, it hurts. Like it physically
does.
hurts. But somehow from here to here, these pillows are so good you don't hear it. It's just screaming into the void. It's just you can feel the pillow vibrating, but the sound just doesn't get there. The pillows are that good, so you can just go hard.
Yeah, she screams for longer than you would expect.
Yep. But we're gonna.
Artemis just hears.
Yeah. Actually, we're gonna get to what Artemis sees in a second, and then I'm gonna ask if it's okay if that's what they see. But we'll get to that in a second because Artemis,
Yes.
you that's not played. That's gonna play out as what you're gonna tell me plays out because I'm gonna do this basically at the same time. You look up, see that red window, look back down, and there in front of you, what is there in front of you that we have been looking at all night so far? Let's make the audience
Um,
cry, shall we?
Well, um, I physically did them on two pieces of paper, but I imagine they're on like each their own page. Like
Mhm.
she like grabbed a bunch of pieces of paper and like some pencils and was
Yes.
just going ham. And that was what she was doing all night, was like putting detail and anything she could find in any of the information about these people in there as possible, including names or anything like that. Just trying to do something to help, even though in all likelihood a lot of the people who like would have survived, been surviving family, probably died in the dying.
Yep.
But it just so there's something good left behind.
Would you
Um,
would you say you're making them real somehow by these images and this?
yeah,
It's a
'cause, like,
remembrance, right?
I
mean,
know we've talked about the like in Florence and in other places, the construct laws were like, basically they are no longer people, and they're that was kind of the deal.
Mhm.
But with these people, it felt like they were robbed. They literally robbed
Yeah.
um
Yep.
of something. And so it feels like giving a little bit back because they're still here technically.
Hmm.
Um but not in a way they probably ever would have imagined. Um and so that's partially what left her awake all night, was just like everything going on in this kind of drive to do it because artist inspiration. But at some point in the night, as she was working on these, actually the one in front of her um is not one of those people. She finished all 18, and she found herself doing something that she has done for years. And the person on the page is Apollo, her twin.
Yeah.
And she did it without even thinking about it. It isn't until like that ray of light in the face and she actually looks down again and sees it, and it's like, oh, like
lit in red from the light
mhm,
coming through the
lit
window.
in red.
And at that
Um,
moment,
yeah.
you hear beside you, because you're sitting against the bed, right? Like
Yeah,
the bed's
like-
here. So
yeah.
behind you, you hear the poof of somebody hitting a giant duvet. Like this place, this is lavish, right? So there's the poof, and then another sort of even softer poof as the face hits the pillow, and then. Tell me if I'm wrong, Delilah, but the body all but convulses. It's just like legs flailing and arms punching and just. Is that
It's a little more restrained, but it's very like
I just because you said primal rage, so I just like
yeah,
just-
like primal
yeah.
rage. You're right. She I think honestly, after she screams,
Mhm.
she sits up a little bit and just starts punching the pillows.
Yeah.
So there's you know that scene in A Christmas Story where Ralphie gets so fed up that he starts beating up the bully. It's like that kind of like primal muttering of
Mhm.
just like incomprehensible swear words that
Yep.
don't make sense in like the three languages that Delilah obviously knows, and
Yep.
it
And you see that just to add to that image, you see that in silhouette against the red window, like some kind of weird shadow play as they're punching this. Because it's just this amorphous shape that they're beating to absolutely no effect, but in shadow play form against a swirling red background. That was my vision. So there,
Her I could see that her French braid's like half undone.
yeah, and just
So it's just
And we're still all
slightly-
covered in ash because only
Yep.
Sid took a
only
bath.
Sid has.
We're all
Yeah, only Sid is
disgusting.
clean. Yeah. So yes. Oh, so yeah, there's like a fine dust falling. Oh, yeah. So, Artemis, go.
I feel like Artemis sees this and kind of is distracted from her own thought processes. And she understands, to some effect, that feeling. Just the anger and grief in some aspects and disgust. Like, she didn't have the same attachment to Elizabeth Gori as Delilah, but it's a, kind of a universal thing. And so she'll set whatever she still has left in like her lap down, and she will kind of turn and wait till it seems like Delilah is calmed down a little bit, like not necessarily needing her to be completely
Oh, yeah.
okay, because that's not a thing, but like to where maybe she's not punching as hard, she's breathing just heavier, just because it's like, okay, all of that initial
Yeah.
energy is out.
That level of
yeah,
rage
it's
is
like where
exhausting.
it slowly transitions into just like
Just choking it.
hard crying
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
strangling,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
like
you're still killing
gripping
it. Just
white knuckles on the pillows, but like yeah, no,
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
coming down from that absolute rage. And she's like so sickened and just like the tears streaming down her face. She is like, she feels destroyed, kind of.
Artemis will then like kind of get up on her knees and like definitely again feeling like the weird positioning she had adopted, as one does,
Yeah.
and kind of come and sit up on the bed, still just smeared in graphite and ash and all that kind of stuff. She's not paying attention. She never cared before. And she'll just kind of sit beside Delilah, but chooses to just let it be quiet for a little bit, not feeling like words need to be said at this exact moment, because it feels kind of like one of those things that's obvious.
So, Delilah, you start to come out of like the rage sort of peels back, right? And the world starts to come back into where you are. And at that moment, the two of you in that red window, which is now sort of beside you, you see smaller orange little flash, and then flash, and then flash. Each one slightly smaller than the one before. At the
Artemis will get up and
bottom
go
of
look
the
out the window.
Delilah, you going with, or are you staying?
Um, she'll follow with her eyes.
Yeah, see, Artemis, you see it directly. Downstairs, there's the equivalent of a garage attached to this mansion, and you can see that the driveway has somehow been shoveled, but there is a bit. There's still sort of only this much new ash. It's 3 feet high, where everywhere else, and 5 feet high where they've shoveled it. But there's this new skiff, and you see the robots come out again and start shoveling and sweeping and moving it onto the piles on the side. And as they do so, these other wheeled robots come out, constructs come out and start lighting lamps. Just click, 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 down the driveway to the side of the road, just like everything's normal. Each one of those little lights was another lamp being lit.
Got it. And Artemis will just watch the routine of it for a moment and then like rub her eyes and like turn away from the light because I forgot about this aspect, but I just looked at my deck
Yes.
and I drew a king last time, so that she's her head is trying to
So
destroy
you
her.
just,
So
bam, you come back inside. And
yeah,
you can't
she's
even
like
see
absolutely
straight.
not.
Yeah, perfect. Because that's what that crack in vision, like you can't even see anymore, and you break, and that's where we cut to Coas. No, nope. I want to know because there's a thing I want to do there. So Sid, we're gonna cut to Sid. Did you sleep? I know the last thing you saw was the shoveling and the vehicle being prepared and then shut down, right?
Yeah. And then he sort of like kind of slumped into a chair.
Right.
You could call it sleep if
Okay.
you wanted.
Okay.
I'm not sure how true that would be.
So yeah, you're floating in that space
but
in
yeah,
your
when-
room when you
when he
see.
does kind of like come to, it's he's sitting on the edge of the bed. He sees the specter of his mother and she's just sort of looking at him. But that's the only little scenery eating I'll be doing there.
Yeah, no worries. That and so she's framed by a red outline, and she fades, and the red outline stays. And you realize it's the red light seeping around the corner of a closed curtain.
Sid rubs his eyes and mutters to himself. No idea what he says.
Yeah.
When he does kind of like peel himself from the chair, he's still in the pink and green paisley bathrobe.
Yep.
And his mustache is like poofed out like Dr. Eggman style.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you did not do
And-
any mustache maintenance before going to bed, so he damn straight.
No, he's just he doesn't get bed head, he gets bed mustache.
Bed face.
Yeah, bed face. Yeah, so he
Mustache.
mustaches. So yeah, he sort of shuffles over to the window and kind of he doesn't draw it all the way, but he kind of like peeks through the holes.
Okay. So at the sides.
Yeah,
Or-
he peeks through the middle. Peeks through the middle
Okay,
because
okay.
it's easier.
So yeah, you kind of through the middle, and as you do that, it's just, I mean, it's like opening an eye onto redness, right? It just starts just like Sauron, but really fucking close. Like it's right there, and it's really, really red. But as you do so, you hear a click behind you, and almost before you can look down, you can see a very tiny construct. This one's entirely machine. There's no ex-humans attached to it, and it's at your feet trying to grab the curtain, but you've moved the curtain like this much. It grabs about 3 times, misses, backs up and goes back into its closet.
That's not used to that and kind of stares at it and watches the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then.
Yep. Which
All right.
works well because if I'm going to give Sid this for his engineering or his sort of his knowledge, it assumed the windows were open. If it comes out to do its thing, and it misses 3 times, then the windows must be open. Therefore, it goes back away. So yes, you then pull the windows open, making its truth now true, and look out because you're right there. You're right at the window.
Yeah.
So like this is where the red is, right? I mean, it's right up against the glass. There's still the hissing sound of you're so close of the ash, but you can see the outline of the garage that you saw before. You can see the ash banks. You can see those lights coming on one at a time as the robots follow. Damn it, I did it again. The constructs follow along, lighting these lamps on the way down the thing.
It's almost familiar. Like there's a sense of relief because that's been his truth for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it makes him feel a little bit better. And he just kind of takes it in, watches it end. And just sort of stares for a bit. He's not really sure. He looks lost.
Yeah.
Like a construct without orders.
Oh, beautiful sentence. That's so good. We're going to leave you on it. So the 3 of you are in 2 different windows looking out at the lights along the driveway. Coes. For the first time, and I don't know, maybe never, you slept in. Like actually slept. Didn't wake up in a chair. Didn't wake up with your clothes on. Like slept. What's that like? You're muted somewhere.
There you go.
There we go.
I'd say that when he actually did get to sleep,
Yeah.
because it's almost like a new sensation for him.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
But I'd say his dreams were rather, well, nothing. No fits of kind of wild dreams, no clues that he's kind of mulling over in his head. Just nice and silent.
Yeah.
Dreamless sleep.
Yes.
So
See-
as he kind of
yeah.
awakes, he notices that like kind of the covers are pulled over and he's not in his long trench coat.
Yeah.
Takes him a second to realize what's going on, and he gets out, gets dressed, and there's this kind of there's just quiet in the room, a quiet that he's not used to, and it just throws him off to do the whole morning just without any kind of real worry. What the hell was that? It sounded like one of the constructs just completely
Fell over, dropped their plate. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. A cat has committed murder-cide on something, yes.
Yes.
Look at the look. It's like, look, there's something on the floor down there. I don't know how that could possibly have happened. I killed it. Yeah. Anyway. Steen sealing bastard.
Yeah. As he wakes up and he kind of, I'm assuming it was like kind of watches or
You
like
see
a
that-
clock nearby.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can tell what time it is because you can tell it's light out. You can see the light around the curtain, that red light seeping in.
Oh geez, I think I slept in.
And because you slept in, yeah, you and the robot kind of get there at the same time, and it kind of grabs it and starts to go, and it and
kinda
opens
lets
up
go,
to
lets
that
it open.
that red world outside, that red haze.
It was nice. Too nice. He feels a bit guilty because he knows that the rest of them probably didn't have a good night's sleep,
Mm-hmm.
given their states at the moment.
Wow. Okay.
As he kind of takes a deep breath and kind of looks outside. What does he see? Does he see other people out there? Who's that? What's going on?
Perfect. Thank you for the segue. The four of you now, because you're all looking outside at the same time, see the door open of the garage, and this construct. Sid, you've seen it before. This is the vehicle. It has no ex-human components at all. It's artistic. It's engineered to within a millimeter of its life. The center of gravity is low. It is somebody has everything you can think of. They've thought of. It is just an amazingly efficient steam-powered cart with no inkling of construct in it at all. It is clearly not of the same design as everything else in this mansion. As that door opens, it powers up. You see the steam coming out of it, and you see lights come on, like little torches get lit up along the front and the sides, and it just sits there.
Of course, he's gonna go ahead and make his way towards the Artemis chambers. As he
You
kind
step-
of notices this, and
You step
gets
out
stuck
in the
there.
hall. Sid, this is the second time you've seen this.
Yeah. It's something he wants to look at, but he wants to like talk to everybody else first.
Yep.
I think at kind of hearing movement,
Yep.
he kind of sort of shifts and realizes he can't wear what he was wearing. That shit's just
Yep.
it's covered in other people's blood, and
Yeah, but this is a mansion, so there are
Yeah.
like guest clothes in the closet for sure.
yeah, he finds a pair of basic slacks in his size.
Yeah, I was gonna say business
Sure.
casual. Yeah,
Mhm. And still wearing the robe because I think at this point he's kind of come to like it a little.
going a little Arthur Dent. Get
yeah, a
the
little
bone
bit.
and the
Going
mustache
full
pretty
Elton
soon.
John
Yeah.
with like the smoking jacket.
Yeah.
And I think by the time he finishes putting his shirt on, he realizes how frigging hungry he is,
Yes,
and
because you're
starts
because you're the first one that noticed. You now see beside the bed that you've been sort of, or the chair that you've been sort of crashed in for, or semi-comatose in, attempting to process in, however you want to refer to whatever's happened. You see there is actually a series of buttons on the arm of the chair, Star Trek style, except that you have to physically push them down. You can tell if you push one, it's like a trumpet, but it's already under steam pressure. So if you push one, it's going to go fmurp at a certain tone. It will go fmurp though, because this is my game, damn it.
Earl Grey, hot.
Yeah.
Actually,
yes.
I was gonna say
essentially
tea.
yes. Yeah.
It's Sid. He's gonna want some morning tea.
Yep. So you scan the menu. It's like going to the machine at the local gas station, right? And you beep boop boop, yeah. So yeah, you meep merp moop meep, and in less time than it would have taken to boil the water. So the kitchen was waiting. The door opens, a little trolley rolls in. This one does have the upper half of an ex-human as the construct, but the bottom half is entirely mechanical, so it's like a table with this person attached, and it just zzz, and stops in front of you, staring blandly at the wall.
Okay. He takes
Perfect.
the teapot.
Cup of tea.
Oh,
Perfect.
it's just a cup of tea. Yeah. He takes it, thanks the robot.
As soon as the weight comes off, and back out the door. Part of the program.
Well then. Sips it. Takes. How is it?
It's as good a tea as you're going to get this far from a home. In fact, it's
He
probably
blinks.
home tea, just maybe not done right.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. They didn't heat the pot. and you can tell because you're a snoot, or you're snooty shit. So you can tell they didn't heat the pot before they put the water in, so the pot slightly cooled the water. So it was, yeah, you're one of those. Yeah, okay.
He could just tell.
You can just tell, but
He
they
just-
were. You're being a little nitpicky for
He's
being
thinking it's like,
in Italy
for
30
Italians,
years
it's
after
not
the
bad.
yeah, for 30
Yeah.
years after the fall of humankind and half a continent away. This'll do.
For Italians, it's not bad.
Doesn't taste like espresso. At least they didn't leave it in for 9 minutes. Kind of punch card programming, kind of nearly almost. It's actually in my head. It's all algorithms on. You really want to know? Because I know it looks. If you ever go down in the basement, it looks a whole lot like the Difference Engine, the Charles Babbage and and Lady Ava Lovelace almost created. It's physical valves, but it's an actual computer. So. Anyway, just so you know. But yeah, back in Sid's room, you get your tea, and as you're watching out the window, you see the same process again. It's the unit starts to shut down. You guys can all see this as you look outside. The unit starts to shut down. It vents its steam. The door of the garage closes. And that's it.
Before it closed,
Yes.
Artemis would have, because Delilah
Yes,
didn't go
please.
to the window.
Yeah, that's from Sid's point of view. So
Yeah.
you spoke Artemis and
before,
Delilah, actually. Yeah.
Just before we forget too much.
Yeah.
Artemis would have been like, "Hey, Delilah, come look at this because this is weird.
And
It's
then
different from everything else we've seen." And then turns
yeah.
around away.
Yeah.
perfect. So actually,
Delilah's
I
also
love
like,
this. So Delilah, you walk up to the window, and Artemis goes and turns away, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I feel that." And I look out, and you're the one that sees the whole shutdown process.
What is that a vehicle?
That's what it looked like. It looked
And the
different.
garage closes.
There's a knock on your door.
Oh.
It's a construct. I'm kicking it away.
Oh,
I'll step
God,
over her
please.
papers and like
Constructs don't
Oh.
knock,
I know.
and they come out of the walls here. But yeah,
Speaking of which, she's gonna address that later.
yes.
They're in the walls,
go in.
man.
Oh.
Open the door.
They're in the goddamn walls.
And Coes is standing there.
Oh, hi.
Three of you together. Major milestone in the story.
Do we get a milestone advancement?
We are advancing at a truly amazing rate in this game. So yes, sure, have another one. Yes, at least one every week. Bugger it, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to look outside. There's a
The
steam.
car thing.
Yeah, the car thing.
Yeah. And she'll kind of like move over, and Delilah's at the window.
Oh,
And when
Oh,
you look
right.
over Artemis and Coes, the door is now closed. The garage door is closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it shut down as soon as it started.
I mean, I'm sure we could go there, investigate. I mean, it would be great to have a car if we're ever gonna leave. Well, once we're gonna leave.
We
Yeah.
should have someone look at it first.
I also think it's interesting that it's programmed in to be
Did you see
prepared to go.
any bodies attached to it?
It looked different from the other ones.
I don't think that's a construct.
It also kind of brings up a question: if the car is here, how did she get into Florence? Walked?
Probably a
Took another car?
construct horse or
Does the
something.
garage look big enough for two?
It's a garage / workshop. So yeah, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to tell in the lighting outside, but yeah, it's large. There's at least space for 2 finished carts.
Um,
Okay.
That's the
When-
thing. It
at
doesn't.
that point, sorry. At
Sorry.
that point, Sid sort of like pops up from behind Coas. Maybe she never left.
There you go. Now they're all four together. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey,
It
Thanks for
doesn't look
playing.
like
We'll see
How-
you next week.
That doesn't make sense though.
She was at
How
the-
could
She was one
she
of the
brought the
builders.
technology to Florence? She had to have left.
But the car didn't look like her constructs. It was too
Exactly.
decorated.
Kevin,
Yes.
from what I saw,
Yes.
does it look like the work of anyone that we've seen?
Definitely not. I just wrote down the word that I'm going to use to describe it. It is Baroque. Intentionally ornate. Intentionally overblown. It's got
And that's why
curly
I-
cues and swirly cues on its curly cues. It is,
And
yeah,
That's why I
Well-
feel like Artemis would mention it, because like I feel like she would have clocked that.
everything's polished brass and mahogany and teak, and
Well,
it's an aesthetic as well as it is an engineering marvel.
and while I'm not in those spheres, I'm sure a lot of us would have heard about a car like this coming to, or at least being around, the city, Florence. Maybe it was in the scrap this whole time. I never go there, so.
I have a. I mean, in school, there were mentions. They didn't focus on the past, but some of the older professors would talk about the way that automobiles worked before the dying, and just it doesn't look like what that sounded like.
Still looked like steam was coming out of it. It just doesn't look like it was one of Elisabetta Gori's creations.
And in that case, we have to wonder, is there someone else around who did that?
And never left.
Or somehow perished?
Yeah, because there's enough food here and it's automated, so they wouldn't have died from starvation or anything like that if they were around here.
Or perhaps they're shut in?
You hear out in the
workshop.
hall behind you two voices, two very, very familiar voices. One of them is, "How do I get to the front door? I need to see it. I need to see it up close. How do I get to the front door?" The other one's like, "Turn right. No, your other right, Verite. Holy shit for a genius. Come on. Go. And the boys, Verite and Stefano, is it? Stefano, yeah, you've got the O on the end of yours. Yes, the two of them are barreling full, like charm mode engineer engaged, like down the stairs, out the door, across the yard, built through 3 feet of ash, trying to get to that garage. And you can just hear them sort of
Well.
yelling. But that weird thing is, it's like heavy snowfall. Everything is just silent. So they're like blah, 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 as they go past you and down the stairs. But as soon as the door slams shut, everything goes back to silent. And you can see them outside through the window. Go.
We may have some answers soon,
we
based on
better
that
get
reaction.
down there before they tear it apart.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I mean, they're your
Who's-
proteges, so. Well, protege, it's not really
Gee,
anyone's
thanks.
protege, but it's your protege, so.
Delilah's still dressed, so she's just
Yeah.
gonna like.
I feel like
Yeah.
Fatima would see the three of us minus Sid
Yes.
and like shit herself because we're all still disgustingly
Yes.
dirty.
Uh-huh. Well, okay, yes, but because you said that, yeah, you come out into the like Delilah, you come out and you said you're the first one out because you're already dressed, right? So you come blowing out in the hall, all covered in yesterday, and the only clean
Covered
spot
in
on you
yesterday.
is the tears,
tear
and
streaks.
you're shaking and your eyes are red and puffy and just like, yeah, and you come around the corner and Fatima is standing at the top of the stairs, perfect.
Knew it.
clothes, makeup, hair, nice safari outfit that goes with the gray and red outside.
Of course it does.
Of course she does. She's
And she
fabulous.
doesn't say a word. She just scans you. And there's just a little look. You know what it is. She's not upset. She's just a
Disappointed.
little disappointed.
I'd say for Koas, he had kind of removed his clothes, and
Yep.
I would like to think that maybe the constructs came in during the night and freshened up the clothes.
I'll
from-
give you that.
Lint
So
roller.
you're still filthy,
Yeah.
but your clothes are
Lint
clean.
roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So from here up, you're
Um,
just mess, but yeah, your clothes are perfect.
Delilah is in that that like, you know, frantic responsibility mode where like she's running on empty, but she's like I gotta go do this right now before something bad happens, so I will deal with everything else later. And so she's just gonna like try to politely be like, excuse me, and then just like
When she realizes that you're headed for the door, and she kind of, oh, well, that makes sense then. Otherwise, and she just leaves it unstated and steps aside and gestures to the stairs and the door. Like you've given yourself maybe the excuse of, hey, I knew I was going outside again, so you know why, right?
I might as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So she is just kind of making a quiet beeline for Stefano and Verite.
It's easy because they've already dug the path right through the ash. So, Artemis and Koas
Yes.
and Sid. That you see Delilah like, oh shit, and gone.
Sid
Before.
follows.
Oh, I got a before. So let's do
Oh,
the before we do the
leaving
after.
room,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Artemis is gonna quick like scoop up all the papers because she's like, I don't know what the cleaning protocol is around here, and I don't want these getting
Yes.
thrown
Yeah.
out by the constructs.
Yeah.
So she's gonna collect the journals
Yeah.
and the papers and like
Brilliant.
set them on like the end table.
Yep. Absolutely. Some place that would make sense that they would leave shit. Yeah. Makes brilliant idea. Thank you. So you slam that and then turn to go. That means Sid and Koas, you can move first because Artemis is doing something. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just beeline it towards the car.
okay, so you're following. So bam, out goes Delilah. Bam, out goes Koas. Sid.
Sid finishes his tea,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
sets it on a table near the front door,
Mhm.
hangs his jacket up on, or his bathrobe up on
Yep.
the hook,
Yep.
and then goes out.
So yeah, you've still got clean clothes on, but yeah, it's the bathrobe. Yeah, you leave the bathrobe inside, so you got something clean to come into when you come back in.
Exactly.
Perfect. So the three of you head outside. Artemis, you follow in their wake afterwards, literally in their wake, because by the time you get there, the V in the ash is pretty easy.
Yeah, and I imagine that because she has these constant headaches. I wonder where I got that idea. That her goggles are tinted slightly.
Sure. Yep.
So
Oh,
they
that's
don't
what I was
always-
gonna say.
Like
Yeah,
too,
I was
like-
thinking.
blue
Because
blockers.
Delilah has her work goggles.
Yep.
And I did mention that Delilah, she probably doesn't have a full on headache yet from all of the like rage screaming,
Yeah.
but like
Oh, it's yeah.
starting to develop.
Yeah, you get the puffy full head thing going on. Yep, it's
Yeah,
about to
and
be too
the
much pressure pretty quick here. Yep.
Crying, headaches, and all that.
So I think because of that, Artemis would have those down first before she goes outside, because otherwise she would not go out there.
Okay, so I've got the background isolation off on my mics because I like to make noises. So you might be hearing stuff that's going on outside that I can't hear because these are all but noise canceling headphones. So maybe that's the noises. Anyway,
No, there was some dude cheering some shit.
oh, it's the
In my
playoffs,
apartment building. Yeah.
and it's 7:05,
Oh.
so the 4 o'clock game just finished.
Oh, okay.
The Eastern
yeah, so I
game just
guess-
finished. Yeah,
Okay. So I guess his team won.
somebody won sport. Yeah, somebody won
Yay,
sports.
sport
Yay!
ball.
Yeah,
Football.
This is sport puck. It's hockey. It's sport puck.
Yeah, sport.
I assumed
Yeah.
hockey.
Sport puck.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's NBA right now, so that'd be sport
Hmm.
ball.
Well, it's also the playoffs. I know. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
All
doesn't matter.
sports.
It's all good as long as it's not screaming and yelling about fires. It's all good then.
shit.
So, in order, Delilah, you get there first. It was Delilah, Coes, Sid, and then Artemis. So Delilah, you kind of get to the driveway first, right? The shallow bit that they're actually working on, and you can step between them. So you're into that open part first, and just as you get there, you see the boys standing by the garage door looking at something, and you didn't look at the arm of your chair, so you see for the first time there's 2 rows of buttons on the wall beside it, and they're all different colors. And as you walk up, they're arguing about what order they should push the buttons in.
Why don't you just push a button?
And Verite goes, okay, watch this, and pushes 4 buttons in rapid order, and the door starts to slide open. He says, I told you. Stefano's like, yeah, but it doesn't make... Oh, I see. Shit. And the door slides up. The car is in there, but it's not started or anything else. It's just
Good.
sitting there inert. Yeah, the room's still kind of vaguely steamy from when it vented just a couple minutes ago, but yeah, the door opening is not the trigger.
I want to
two
try
of-
keep them from triggering it
Okay.
just
Because
yet.
I was just about to say the 2 of them are like oxygen containers in a tomb when, in a room when the MRI is turned on. It's just like, oh, tech. Right, so they're going to try and get past you.
I'm gonna say, okay, wait, please wait. We don't know what this is. We don't know who made it. We need to approach this carefully, and please don't take it apart because we may need to use it.
It's not weight, it's mass. About 2.2 tons, I think, though. Oh, you wanted us to
No.
wait. I see. Okay. Can we go now? We waited. And Verite's
Okay.
just humming. He's visibly vibrating.
Can I
Stefano's pulled out.
see?
Stefano's doing math. Like he's got a stylus and he just have.
Can I see the others coming down
They're-
the path now?
Yeah, we're gonna you got like one more action before the next one gets here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Action.
I need you guys to leave it alone for like an hour so we can figure out what this is and who made it.
An hour,
Maybe
a whole
more than an
hour,
hour.
a whole hour. No, I can't do a whole hour. Half an hour, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Can we do 5 minutes?
Verite, you're going
Oh.
to have to be patient.
I already want to touch it now, though.
I can't guarantee how soon, but once we know what we're dealing with, maybe you can fiddle with it, but we have to know it's safe first.
Stefano looks at you and kind of grins, and he goes, like, watch this. And he leans in and he says, Verite, how small do you think you could make that? And Verite literally drops on his ass right where he's standing, just bang on the ground with no, like he's probably bruised, and he's just in his pocket full of stuff, and he's just putting one together. Like a 1/24th scale model of this thing without any of the frillery or frippery on it. You can see in an instant the frame that he's building. He's doing the
Model
Verite
T
thing,
version.
right? There's no wasted space, right? It's
Okay, just gonna pocket that trick.
and
Um,
Stefano looks at you and kind of gives you the double thumbs up, and he kind of mouths the words to you. It works on me too, because now I'm gonna watch him. And he does. You can see it like he's like there's heroin on the table. It's just zzz, click, and he's just watching Verite put this together. So the engineer boys are all distracted.
I'm gonna sort of shuffle them over so that we have a little more access to
Oh, yeah.
the vehicle.
It's a whole 2-car garage from here. You can see, yeah. And that's when Coes shows up. Yeah, you come skidding up to the open door now. The 2 of them are sitting down.
Kind of skids in. Uh-huh. Looks like the whole squad's already here, huh?
About half the squad, but I mean,
I mean, like,
who's the squad?
I meant like Verite, Stefano.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I should
The-
clarify. I should give them like the
Should
smart
give them
squad.
a name.
Yeah.
The smart squad.
Right. So you two, or Delilah, also you. Any thoughts of this gonna run or anything?
I don't know. I would ask Sid for some kind of at least
He's gonna kinda
cursory.
Come up to
analysis.
the.
Sid comes in.
I'm gonna get up to the cockpit.
He was next in line, so perfect. Yeah.
I'm gonna get up to the driver's seat first and just kind of do a once over. Does it have like a gear shift? Does it seem automatic? What's it look like?
You know the probably not. It's the one person who probably really doesn't know these. The really old RC cars. The controller used to just be straight ahead, straight back, left and right. That's what. There's 4 buttons on this ornate wooden panel.
Oh Lord.
Well, give me 1 second, please.
At this point, Sid just sort of he looks up. He comes over. He's looking at this car. It's like it's a lot fancier up close.
Yeah. Honestly,
It's certainly high class.
Don't need that vibe. Don't. Fuck, I'm starting to sound like Verite. Okay.
I have that effect on people. Yeah, I do. I do sometimes.
Yeah.
And then there's a grin. Oh, and for the first time, intentional humor from Verite. He says, "Too bad you didn't get the skill part that goes along with it." And he just keeps building.
Verite!
Stefano's the.
I'm gonna like
Gonna need
pat
some
him on the
ice for
back.
that burn.
pat Verite on the back. Great one, man. Great one.
As you do, you see he is beat red. Like he is so embarrassed by what he's just said.
No, you did great there. That was high
Sid's
five.
pretending to be mad, but you can tell. You're just like cheeky bastard.
I've still got my high five up.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
That's in character for Verite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sid puts his hands behind his back, sort of leans forward and kind of peers. He knows how to look at something without touching.
Yep.
As much as he fucking wants to. And it's like, first things first, we gotta figure out a way to make sure this thing doesn't turn on us while we're looking at it. I don't want to lose no fingers.
Sid, you see it's connected at the back. There's just like everything in this house. At some point, it connects to this steam system that uses various pressures to change various settings in this manual mansion-sized computer. It is hooked up to that, and you can follow that. You can see that goes essentially through a wall, and you can see at the back of the garage there's a door.
Okay. It's connected directly. There isn't like a.
It's basically like at the risk of looking offensive, it's basically like when the carriage comes in, it's got one of these, and the wall's got one of those, and the carriage backs up until it
Boink.
does that, and
Okay.
makes a connection. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it has to do it repeated. No, it's always yeah. Never mind.
Bad,
Yeah, this is
Kevin.
why I didn't
Kind
do
of-
this.
but kind
It
of like
was
when you
bad,
have-
and then I made it worse.
Kind of like when you have like a camper that you hook onto your like truck,
Yes.
and it's got the
Or like a
mounting.
hitch
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hitch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a much better image.
I have a thing for whenever Sid's done.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Sid's he sort of follows the pipe.
And Artemis, you roll in at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And gets to the door.
Roll, walk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
shuffle.
Yeah.
You know.
Sort of checks the door.
Delilah,
And
do you want when do you want in? Before he gets to the door, as he gets to the door, after he opens the door?
The door of the car?
He's gone past the car, he's followed the pipe, he's going into the adjacent office where the control
Oh,
room probably
okay.
is.
Well, Delilah's idea was she knows that people who are or pretend to be this bougie
Yes.
often have an ego that goes along with it.
Yes.
So she wants to look for like a signature or an owner's mark or something, or a maker's mark.
Yes.
Seeing Delilah kind of look around for that, goes to guy. What are you searching for? Do you need help?
Look for a name, maybe a maker or an owner.
Ah, smart. Yeah, sure, I can help. And yeah, I'm gonna, because I've got skills for that. I'm gonna help with that.
Okay. Absolutely. I know you've got cards and stuff, but this is one of those. In another game, we'd call this a take 20 moment, where you take 20 minutes so you don't have to roll, sort of thing. You guys have got days. What you find eventually. Actually, let's do this. What skill is that? Dun, 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 dun. Perception or. Yeah. So give me. How many clubs do each of you have in your hands? Just to see who finds this. Whoever's got more clubs in their hands at the moment, or in case of a tie, the highest club is the one who actually finds this.
I've got 3.
Okay. Wow.
I have a club and a joker.
So 2. Yeah. So the 2 of you are looking, and it is Coas, which makes sense, I guess, because he's a cop. You find a brass plaque. It's worked into the gilt work, like it's really nicely done. The plaque itself is bent and curved to fit with the gilding. It's stunning. And then on it says Cappuccino Coachworks, Venice. And
You'll never believe this.
And a date of 31 years ago.
Hey,
So a year before the crash.
Delilah, you'll never believe this.
Delilah, he shows you.
Sorry.
Cappuccino Coachworks, Venice, dated
Venice.
31 years ago.
Like I've been, I don't know. All
So
signs
it
are
was like
pointing
a
to Venice right
brand
now.
deal.
That's
Delilah.
Venice.
You said you've got a club and a joker, right? What level is that?
Yes.
What level? What card is that club?
It's a 4.
A 4. So okay, so it is 2 examples. I'm going to give it to you anyway because I think it's fun and I don't want to forget it. I want to make sure this works. It suddenly comes clear in your head. This is a year before your hero started. This was made in Venice. She stole the idea.
That's kind of what I was coming to the conclusion of too.
Yeah.
Did she steal the idea for just the Steamworks and the robotics, or like do I get the sense that
now your
she
training
was-
kicks in. Yeah.
the bodies were her?
That's her perversion, sort of, for lack of a better phrase, adding to it. But you can see now this where she was trying to recreate this, but she's not that good. There was no need to add the constructs. That part doesn't change. But even the part that she added to them isn't as good as what she stole from somebody in Venice.
Dishonest bitch. You know what she did?
Assuming this is before she built
This
all
is
her shit, right?
This is before the dying.
Yeah. Oh,
didn't
so she
make
copied
this.
it.
Yeah. She copied this and
Fuck.
added dead bodies.
Jesus Christ.
Sid,
Wait, I'm not too familiar with the constructs. Well, I am familiar with constructs, but not to the extent you guys are. Do the inclusion of the bodies help? Would it be better to have constructs rather than this?
Based on this? No.
Oh.
No, there's no reason to add bodies.
Bitch. From
Jesus.
behind.
Yeah. Sid, you
If you're gonna-
I'm
sorry.
gonna take, because it's not trapped, so I'm gonna take a moment, and Sid, you open the door to that little office space behind,
Mhm.
Does that work? Yeah, because
Yep.
you said you were over there making sure the door. It's not
Yeah.
locked. You open it up, and there's a small little compact control panel that sits there. It's on a timer, a steam powered timer, and you can see by the little. Oh, do you ever get one of those little the physical table timers where you put the pins in various places, and yeah, so you can see what time stuff's going to go off. You can see, and they're all very carefully labeled. The car outside, once an hour for 4 hours every morning, gets ready to go at the top of the hour. If no one leaves in it, it shuts off and resets.
Okay.
That little system with the car is 100% isolated from the rest of the house. And it is, the stuff you've seen in a house is amazing. This is like that, but elegant.
Yeah, and he's also noticing a distinct lack of corpses.
Yes, there's no constructs, and the solutions. Whoever built this built the cart. Right? Somebody came here and installed this cart, and then the owner of the mansion went a little mad from there.
So okay, just quick sidebar. Let me
Yep.
get this straight. So she
Yep.
stole the idea
Yes,
and then decided I will add bodies to it, and then
Yes.
it created the dying thing.
yes.
So that never had to happen.
No,
No, she
At
was
all.
just if I'm correct, she was just so bad at copying that she had to add. Well, she didn't have to add.
she never had
The
to.
dying
yeah.
was already
just sick.
happening. The dying was
Oh.
already happening. From
No.
because
No, she caused the dying.
20.
No, she caused the dying.
She caused the rapid spike. I know you're talking about the actual backstory in the book. There was it goes like that. But there's in this instance there's the key point where it suddenly goes like that. That was her. Pushing
Now,
it over the edge.
did she just add the bodies for the hell of it, or did she add the bodies to get to the point where it is now? Because she wasn't good enough to get it to that point.
In if there's any excuse for what she's done, like I said it kind of in the
It's
basement
existing
downstairs.
infrastructure.
Exactly. If a thing is designed to be turned by a human, it's easier to reanimate a human to turn it than it is to build a machine to simulate the arm movement of a human if you're not a very good engineer. So that's where it started. You could see that downstairs when they started to build this system from the center out. But after that,
So
it
basically,
just
they had
becomes
the
superfluous.
biomechanics.
Yes, the same
And
reason
They
you guys.
needed the biomechanics from the bodies because they couldn't make biomechanics themselves.
Because they weren't good enough.
They didn't have the skills.
Okay.
And you can now see this writ large in Florence behind you, right? This is exactly what happened there. The story is it's easier to have somebody use the human tools left behind by the dead than to figure out a way to make new tools and constructs to do the same thing without having it. So make a human that can use a shovel rather than reinventing the shovel machine, right? So that's if there is any justification for this, that was it. Although even then, it is, the word was used earlier, superfluous. There's places where there's no need for one, and there is one, like the Roomba.
Sid pushed back
And-
a flap of skin to look at a panel reading.
Yeah,
And if
Yeah.
she
yeah,
if
There
she
were
was
bodies
really
in the walls, literally.
yeah.
if she was really moral, she just would stop. She
Yes.
wouldn't have
Well,
gone
there
that
were
far.
many times that they could have
Yeah.
stopped. Yeah.
Well, and this might be just a weird timeline thing and not actually be anything.
Yeah.
But notes.
Oh yes, make me cover my ass. Go.
Well, okay, because it, at least in the things that Artemis read, I don't know if
Yep.
it was in everything, she was starting to collect bodies 36 years ago.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she was doing this before she had this aspect of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He was already Frankenstein.
Just wanted to
before
double
she
check.
knew how to
Well, she.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why she was so good at it,
Wanted to double check. That's why.
and it was
Okay,
why that
so
was her go-to
she-
fix.
So was
Looks
she
like a nail.
messing? She was messing with bodies, and then did
So-
she have the idea? I don't know if we can glean this from the information we have, but does it seem like she got the idea from machinery, commissioned some machinery, and then used it as a framework? or she commissioned some machinery, saw the machinery, and went, "Oh, I can add that to my bodies."
Probably
you
a
got
bit
her
of
journals.
both.
I feel like
there's a madness. Go ahead, Koas.
I
Yeah.
feel like there's kind of like a tangential
yeah.
path where like
Yeah.
like whoever this is built
Yeah.
the car, right? And
Yeah.
she was working on her own version of it with the bodies, and then she got the car, and she was like, "Oh, I could improve my version by
Yes.
implementing the stuff with the car."
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
That work. I like that. That works. Yeah.
Tangential.
Because
like,
Delilah also read
research.
all of the journals, so she would maybe have a better understanding of the timelines.
They're starting to make more and more sense now. Yeah. So yeah, that's the yeah.
The ramblings have context.
Phil's explanation, and I used Phil's name because we were talking about a character. So yeah, that's the theory. That's what looks like what happened. She was already mad and already messing around with reanimating humans in some way, but it wasn't working. And then she discovered these. She got this piece of incredible engineering installed in her house and went, "Oh, I can use that." And it cross-pollinated from there along with her madness.
Delilah feels sick again,
Yep.
and like I feel like she runs out to the side of the garage and content warning for. She just like, I mean, she already left yesterday, so she just
Yeah.
it's just dry heaps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nothing
So
left to come up.
it's-
Yeah.
Not understanding because he doesn't have the context of the journal here.
Yep.
Not understanding. He was like, well, he just put together that like, hey, yeah, see, the next place we need to go is Venice. We have to go save Thomas, and this is just further proof of this. Yeah. So,
And
and
Artemis
she's
is
gone.
kind of farther back.
Well, yeah, you hear that?
Mhm.
Venice.
I'm sure
Um,
we'll get there.
And
And
Sid's
Delilah
like-
comes back after a moment.
Sid's looking for a maintenance, switch. Like something that would allow him to just not it kind of to pause the cycle
Yes.
to prevent some blowback.
There's a
That's a big concern.
there's I mean it's a well engineered system. There's a big red button. I mean every well engineered system has a big red button that shuts it all down, right?
Yeah.
Self-destruct.
What you
No,
see
it's
because of
always
the
emergency shutdown.
yeah, but you can see the venting because this whole place is steam powered. You can follow the venting with your eyes. It's going to harmlessly, as far as you know, vent the entire system through a tube in the roof.
Okay.
So it will take hours to recharge it, but it will safely shut the entire car down,
Yeah, he's going to.
and the whole
He's gonna
timing
do
system
that.
and everything else. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to do that.
So
and
you
then
guys
he
in the
comes
next
back
room
out.
hear as a steam whistle goes off on the roof. Sid, you're standing there with your thumb on the button watching the
Artemis
pressure come
grabs her head. It hurts.
down. Yeah,
like
sorry.
hell.
I probably should have done a
Ooh.
content warning for that.
No,
But yeah.
not me. It's Artemis in this case.
Yeah, Delilah's so done. I can't be here. And she just walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Sid kind of watches her walk, and there's a pause. He looks to Verite and Stefano, knowing that they're going to want to fucking look at this thing the second they get a chance.
Yeah.
Once the steam power is down, he sort of goes up front and thinks for a bit. And it's been a long time since he's seen a car
Yeah.
that works,
Mm-hmm.
let alone a fancy one.
Yeah.
But I mean, he lived in London. He's going to be seeing fancy Rolls Royces and shit.
Yep.
So he goes to the front of the vehicle, kind of finds the switch, and pops the hood.
Okay. Yeah.
If it works like that, I guess.
Kind of. It's more like panels all over it.
Okay.
It's not a traditional sort of hood
Yeah, it doesn't have a
canopy
bonnet.
trunk
It doesn't-
thing, right?
yeah,
it
it
doesn't
doesn't have a
have that.
bonnet.
It's more like a carriage without horses.
Okay.
It's more like that. They like the
Yeah.
Queen's carriage without a horse. They're without any horses or rider outside, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, as the steam pressure comes down, because we'll start this back in the office where you were. The steam pressure, you watch it come down, you see it get past the point, and then the needle just goes, and the hissing stops. And you can hear tink, 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 as all the back pressure gauges close as everything empties.
Yeah.
And then finally, at the end of it, a little green light at the bottom comes on.
All right. Time to start snooping. And he goes over to you said that it was like a workbench and stuff next to it.
Yeah.
Expertly looks over the tools, finds the ones that he's going to want to use.
Yep.
A couple of screwdrivers, a wrench, starts. Realizes he doesn't have his apron on and just sort of holds them.
Yeah. They've hardly been used.
Shame. These are decent tools. They're fucking amazing.
And as you
But you
turn
never
around
want to
and-
be too
yeah.
complimentary of somebody else's tools.
Yeah. And as you sort of step back to the door and look out at the cart, you notice there's an area you didn't see before. When the steam nozzle unplugged, part of the process is it unplugs from the wall to make sure it's empty. As it did that, there's a place where somebody's bent and scuffed. They've tried to take it apart, but they stripped a bolt and they used the wrong tool on a pipe. You look down and the tools are scratched in exactly the right way to have done that. An idiot has been here mechanicking.
Apprentices.
They haven't wrecked anything, but they tried to take some of it apart.
Yeah, he takes the screwdriver and takes a second smaller screwdriver to fit the spot that doesn't
Yep.
work, and then gets the first screw open. Takes him a while.
Yeah.
And if anybody's watching him, they've known that Sid's been tense
Yeah.
for 2 days, pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is the first time he actually looks relaxed.
Oh, I
because
know
he's
what
now
this.
working on something.
I know exactly what this looks like. This is the guy working on his remote control airplane. Right, the guy who's in his hobby space in his little room in the garage, and he's just, the whole world can just fuck all the way off, and he's
the
just
world
in
doesn't
here
exist for
doing
20
his incredibly intricate and ultimately pretty pointless in most cases thing, except your thing isn't pointless. But yeah. That level of focus, I get it.
Mhm.
So yes,
It's the closest thing to verite that he'll ever see Sid
Yes.
do.
Speaking of verite, he hasn't been given permission to go inside yet. So every once in a while, he just does a sort of, like he's on his butt, right, sitting there. Every once in a while, he does the without getting up. He just kind of so you can see from another side and
Butt
starts,
shuffle.
keeps building, and then he's been all the way back and forth over the front of the door. And Stefano was doing math, but he's stopped and he's just watching verite. What do the rest of you do with that? Who's been a while since they talked? I've lost track. I'm usually pretty good at this, but I've completely lost track.
You like Artemis?
Artemis? Yeah. Okay, perfect. What do you make of all of this? You can kind of see the pressure come out of the car, so you can tell it's sort of harmless.
Yeah, and she also knows she's not necessarily going to be particularly helpful
Yeah.
with the mechanical side of things. Like she builds things,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't work on this scale.
But
Yes.
you are an artist.
Yes.
And I used the word Baroque to describe this thing,
Mhm.
and I meant it. This thing is ornamentation, and it's well done. It's technically well done. The lines are nice. It is artistically sound.
Mm-hmm. I think she would take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think she's more concerned about Delilah in this instance.
Sure.
Because she has read parts of those journals and also
Mm-hmm.
has talked to Delilah a little bit, and it's like, finding out that your hero, in a way, has not only
Yeah.
been making these horrible things before it was legal, but that also some if not all of the stuff that they actually did create and then brought to Florence was stolen and didn't need that component. Like, to find all of that out, that it was just her sick twisted mind that added that part. I think Artemis has enough wherewithal to be like, I'm going to go after Delilah.
Yeah.
And so she'll tell that to-
dry heaving in the ash
Yeah.
outside, which is
Yeah.
hideous. Like, that's
She
just-
will look to Coas and
Yeah.
let him know. But yeah, she's gonna go
'Kay.
inside.
So yeah, you come out, Delilah. You're
Mhm.
dry heaving outside.
No, because she
Just so-
came back,
Oh,
but
you
then
came-
she
so you
said,
kinda-
I can't be here, and then she left.
So yeah, you just sort of went out. Artemis, you go up behind her. You see her. I'm assuming Delilah just at her like path of least resistance down the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just sort of getting out, right? And just follow the driveway. So you've got the lamps
Just-
every once in a while, just boom, 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 as you move through the dark.
Yeah.
Well, it's dark-ish.
Basically.
The red light with
Yeah,
those orange
the red
spots in
light.
it. Yeah.
She's going back to the house, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Right. So Artemis, you see that as you leave.
Mhm.
You follow up on that.
Yeah, she'll just be like, "Hey, Coas, I'm gonna go check on Delilah."
Sure, I'll stay with the guys here.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's a
don't
little
take
too.
apart everything.
It's just a little too. Yeah, and she'll
I get it.
follow after.
I think Delilah makes it to like the front door.
That makes sense.
And she just like is staring at the front door. She just kind of stopped. It's like, when you find a blank surface
Yep.
to like focus on as you just zone the fuck out with all your problems.
Yep.
She saw the door and is just
One of
staring
those-
at it.
One of those wooden panels on
Those-
the
yeah, those
eight-panel
panels.
doors. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's just like, she's gone. She's gone.
Yeah, Artemis, you step up behind, and with your ability in particular, Delilah's gone full fugue state. Like, not here kind of fugue state in front of you.
She's going to then kind of like loosely hook her arm around one of Delilah's
Yeah.
and just kind of, again, like what they had just done on the stairs the night previous, kind of just slowly make their way inside. Granted, it is also full of the horrible things in there, but at least it's not that.
As you reach for the doorknob, the door opens from inside, and standing there is Fatima. Opens the robot has, or the construct has opened the door. She's standing there looking at the construct like, "Don't you fucking dare!" and holding a silver tray with 3 mugs of hot chocolate on it. There's also just behind from where you are. So this is like a presentation to you. There's the 3 mugs of hot chocolate. Just behind the middle one, there's a bottle of Kahlua. With the lid open off. She hasn't applied, but there is room in all 3 for a significant amount of Kahlua. And she looks at you, Artemis, looks at you, Delilah, and it's like, back to Artemis. I'm thinking, and she looks at the Kahlua, a full round?
That sounds lovely.
Her hand goes underneath and she just boom and up on the shoulder, and she looks at you and grins and says, "I was a waitress before I met that prick." And she grabs Delilah's other arm, and the two of you kind of almost like escorting the drunk over to the big table. And then the tray goes down, the drinks are poured. Delilah, you have the hot chocolate smell, just like, I'm going to assume that the hot chocolate smell breaks through the fugue state, because it's a smell, right? It is
Yeah, it's-
primal.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't like
It's chocolate.
not
Yeah, and
register
yeah.
hot chocolate.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I still think she doesn't really say stuff yet.
Yep.
But she does um uncharacteristically, but in this instance, uh Kahlua all the way to the brim of the mug.
Yep. And then you have a drink and put it back down, and Fatima doesn't not even a blink. She just reaches over and fills it back up with Kahlua. So, there was an ounce the first time. You drank 2 ounces. Now there's 2 ounces of Kahlua and only this much hot chocolate left. So, yeah. She's just, you can see she's there used to be a product way many years ago when this wasn't obscenely horrible, that you gave to your kids. What was it? Not colic water, but it was 40% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And you give it to like teething children, and because it helps them sleep. Yeah, it gets them pissed. So yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's,
I've heard of that.
yeah, so that's what she's doing to you, but in hot chocolate. She can see you're done. She's trying to put you to sleep. Whether you realize that or not, Artemis, you can see it. It's like going to, okay, it's your birthday. Yeah, you've had too much, dear. Okay,
I
okay,
feel
one
like
more,
she
one more,
can
dear.
Tell.
Yeah.
I feel like she can tell both of us have not slept.
Yes, oh yeah.
Grape water.
Grape water, that's it, thank you.
The old stuff was
Yeah.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
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 So Delilah is is it like a kitchen table kind of situation, like a
This
dining
is,
table?
no, it's way grander than that because you guys are just inside the door. This is like the grand hall. So you guys,
Gotcha.
in my head, are like sitting on leather couches in front of a wooden coffee table with huge
Okay.
glass ashtrays and chandeliers.
So Delilah
Yeah.
is up like curled in a ball on the couch that she's on.
Yep.
With sort of like mug up to her chin and and just
Yeah.
like again, still very zoned out, still
Yes.
very like staring straight ahead,
Yeah.
and she's like, I can't even bring myself to have her say anything because she is just gone.
Yep. Artemis? First and possibly most important question, Kahlua or none?
A little.
She
She already has a headache. She's like,
looks at you and raises an eyebrow like now she's disappointed in you, and puts the full ounce in. You don't have to drink it all at once, dear, but it's for medicinal reasons. And she has a snort right out of the bottle. I told you I used to be a server. It was in a tavern. He was slumming.
oh, I see.
And then she
Trying
has a
to
big drink, like you
relate.
can see it's burning her mouth from the hot chocolate. You're kind of like, what are you doing? And she's making room for Kahlua so she can pour in about 3 or 4 ounces. She looks over and kind of sneaks another, tops up Delilah again. Looks over at you, Artemis. You haven't even had I'm not even going to ask. You haven't had a chance to pick it up yet. It's still too hot, right? And she's, yeah, this is all happens in this split second in front of you. She's in total mom mode.
And Artemis lets it happen at this point.
Yep.
She's like, this is fine.
Yep.
And she'll kind of watch Fatima for a little while because, like, she got this feeling the previous night when she, like, asked if she needed assistance and she acted like, that was an insult to her character.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels fitting that, like, there's a mask there, which would make sense for just her.
Yep.
So she's kind of gonna try and see, like, where she's really at.
Okay. So you could engage her in actual personal sort of conversation with the intent
Yeah.
of figuring out who she is. Let's make
Yeah,
this.
trying
this
to avoid her own issues.
So that would be empathy, I would say. So how many hearts do you have in your hand? How many heart successes could you create right now if I made you play them?
Well, I can't because I got a king in my hand.
Oh, oh, you
But
played that. You played that
aside,
because that goes when when you had the splitting headache.
well, yeah, I'm just that was more for like my character
Oh, okay.
aspect.
So you can't.
I
I
know.
got you. Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, in that case, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
just informing how
yeah.
I was figuring out where she was at.
All right.
But outside of that, I could make three.
3. Okay. Yeah. Um, you make a couple because of the king. You make a couple of sort of clumsy attempts to start the conversation,
hmm
and she finally goes, "Oh, you want to know why I'm competent?" And she fills up her drink and Delilah's drink and your drink without asking. Puts the bottle back down. I'm not offended, really. I play a complete ditz at home. And she has a drink
I
of her.
didn't mean competent per se. I just meant I'd like to know what how you're really holding up.
I was a house mother for scouts for 15 years. I kept a psychopath under wraps for 21 years. None of that is my problem anymore. I have a lovely mansion, a whole bunch of teenage girls to do my bidding. And she kind of grins to make it clear that, like, she
hmm
didn't mean it, yeah.
hmm
She has a big sip. Have you seen the liquor cabinet here?
I haven't, but I would advise not having any of the girls go to the basement. It's a horrifying thing.
Ah, good to know. Yes, we'll have the. And she looks down, and there's one of these control panels built into the arm of the chair, and she just starts pushing out this like 16 button combination. Just beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. And doors, you can hear them all over the house and hallways and everything else opening up, and constructs go over and lock all the doors to the basement and then go back into their little nooks.
Um, think I guess that works too. Though Sid might need to get in there. But I guess we'll just talk to you then.
I was doing computational programming at university when and she kind of looks out the window in the universal sign for it happened.
This happened.
Yeah, yeah. It's hexadecimal, actually, but steam powered. It's really amazing. And she kind of catches herself because she almost nerds out on you.
Is that how you knew about the diodes?
Guilty.
It was brilliant.
No, mine was a good idea. The one on the inside of my daughter's arm, and she holds out the little mug like she wants to cheers you with it.
She will do so.
That was wonderful. And she has a little sip. Oof, that's getting pretty strong. And they look over at Delilah. Delilah, you have had, if you keep drinking, because I mean, it's still in your, I'm sure it's enough. Kahlua is close enough. No matter how much you drink, it still tastes like hot chocolate. But yeah, how long does it take before Delilah gets sleepy? And do you resist at any point? Because she's going to put you to sleep. You're muted.
I think it gets to the point where she starts to nod off, like
Yeah,
into her drink,
yeah, and
and yeah.
Fatima just does the like a bar. She said she was worked in a tavern, right? She's like catches it and catches your head, and just puts your head on the big soft couch and pulls your legs out and puts you on a pillow. Scooches to the other end of the couch and looks at Artemis and says, "I think that's all for me for tonight." And she finishes about 4 ounces at the bottom of the cup, and you notice it's Kahlua colored. There's no hot chocolate left in there. And she puts it back down and she says, "Getting a little sleepy myself, and I can't imagine why." And she has to try twice to stand up. And she looks at you and says, "I know you haven't had as much as me, but you've had quite a day. You might consider sleeping down here." And then she starts to weave towards the bottom of the stairs.
Thank you, Fatima.
Good night. Like she's trying to make light of it all. And
It's like-
gets to the stairs, puts the hand on the banister, and does the banister step, step, step. Banister step, step, step. All the way up.
I like to think that Artemis hasn't even drank half of her stuff.
No, you've only had a couple ounces. Yeah, you're
And
the
in
only.
my head, it's still like mid-morning.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's only you guys have only been up for an hour or so.
right?
So
Well,
let's.
we've been up all night, so.
Yeah, so let's leave the two of you there. Artemis, I will ask, do you, because you, as you say that, even though you've only had a couple ounces, you look down and you were almost spilling. You're so tired.
Mhm.
You didn't sleep all night. So are you taking her advice and sleeping down here, or are you going upstairs?
She thinks about going upstairs because she's like, I should go upstairs because that
Yeah.
would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Um,
But here is here.
but here is here, and this
Yes.
is a soft couch.
Yes, one of those nice
Um,
leather ones. So,
Uh-huh. So I imagine by the time that Kois and or
Yep.
Sid come back, it's just the two of them slumped into the couch.
with your cup hanging precariously on the edge of the table, you just kind of put it down and fell back. It almost fell off.
Yeah,
So
and
perfect.
her goggles still on.
Yeah,
like, still, 'cause it's like
yeah,
no, just on because it's like it's
Yeah.
too bright out here.
it's too
No.
bright. Yeah. So perfect. Thank you for the
Mhm.
segue to Kois and Sid. You guys were still technically out in the garage.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Sid
pretty
was
close.
peeking at the area that Elisabetta was tampering with.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. It looked like she tried to take it apart to understand it, realized she wasn't going to, and yeah, started her own simpler project from here.
As he's going on, it's like if she'd used like one size smaller screwdriver,
Mm-hmm.
she would have been fine. But
Yep.
no, I had to use the big one. Now it's fucking stripped.
From
And-
way over out by the door, because nobody still let him in inside, and he's like a good dog. Artemis is sitting on the ground outside,
Verite.
and you're
Verite.
muttering at one end of it. Verite, sorry, you're muttering at one end of it, and you hear underneath the end of it. If you made it like me, you wouldn't need any screwdrivers at all.
Well, we're not all as good as you, Verite. Some of
Stef-
us have to work with what we've got like mortals. He sort of
Stefano kind
chuckles
of
to-
Stefano laughs and kind of pushes Verite's shoulders. You're going to get punched in the face one day. Though the mechanics of a punch are very interesting, you can deliver a lot of force in a punch. Stefano's going, see, that's what's gonna, yeah.
Ghost is gonna come up from kind of behind them. Just kind of. Right. So how long how long are you thinking of looking at this? day, half a
Until we
day?
understand it. So for me, all day. For him, and you look down, and this little model is about 3/4 built. He
10
understood
minutes.
it an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, Sid's just kind of peeking. In what is Sid's professional opinion of the inside of this thing now that he's had a look at what Elisabetta was able to
Yeah.
do, what in relation to what he was able to do in Florence with
Yeah.
a team of engineers and some of the brightest minds the city's ever seen.
The Steamworks is custom. Every piece is custom shaped. It's not Verite levels of interconnected custom, but it is a custom coachwork. This is a one-off. This is a work of somebody, and you can tell from the differences that you see. One person worked on this for years. They learned skills partway through because you can see the advancement. Like this bit's better technically than that bit there. So this must have been done after that, right? You can put all of that together. This is a masterwork. This is like somebody could have gotten their title master with this
It's
piece.
an opus.
It is. It is a singular piece. And that's just mechanically, and the Steamworks. When you start looking inside, the coachworks itself, the woodwork, the suspension, the fittings, the windows, the materials, the shape, the ergonomics of getting in and out of it, the way the mud flaps work, it is a combination of artistry and skill and the whole thing is just showing off. Every bit of it is, this is impressive, and look, I made it this way so you could see how impressive it is.
Yeah. I think after about 5 minutes, Stefano sees Sid's hand, or like sticking out, like, he's just, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here.
Yep. His head
And
comes in.
as he, shows him like the intricacies in the back area, and as Stefano's looking at that, Sid's undoing a different panel
Yeah.
elsewhere so he can look at that, and he's making sure that everything's together, the screws are together, the plate, it's obvious where the plate is supposed to go if you just
Yep.
have it sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very careful to make sure that none of the actual work has been touched.
Yes.
It's just viewing only.
You take off that panel and you can see the control panel wiring, not wiring, it's all steam from back here, but you can see the construction of that whole panel. It's all valves, and every valve has 16 positions that it can move to. It's literally a physical hexadecimal computer.
Yeah. And Sid's thinking that they worked in fucking nibbles.
Yep.
Like 4 bits at a time.
Yep. This is, but it's also the intricacy and the interconnected of it all. It's that, it's not verite. It's not savant. This didn't just, somebody just didn't know this. Somebody worked this out.
He's obviously very impressed, but he's right. He just sort of mentally also making a few calculations here and there. Looks to Stefano. Remember, look, don't touch.
And he's looking around and he says, have you noticed they did stuff more complicated than they had to?
Oh yeah, the bastard was showing off. I mean, look at this here.
Is that what that is? Yeah, because just a simple, and he starts talking to you. You can tell for him, it's nice to have somebody that talks back in English and not in verite. Right, so
they're also it's 2 different fields. He's got the biomechanical of it, or Sid's strictly steam,
like
strictly engineering. So they've got differing.
Perfect. So you guys are inside just working on the complications of this, and that's where we're going to leave you, which brings us to Coes, the only properly rested person here, honestly. You see all of that happen in front of you. So what do you do in that situation?
It's gonna kneel down to where Verite is kind of making.
You're a little quiet, bud.
It's gonna kneel down to where Verite is kind of making that intricate car, and can see that he's almost done building. He's just got like the headlights and whatever to put on left. So, you were right when you first came to us. You really do have you didn't say this, but you really do have a gift. I do think you can change the world with what you got. Verite.
Gifted is one of the words they call me. Yep, definitely been called that a couple times.
What word would you call it?
And there's a long silence, and he says, forced? Is that the right word? I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice at all. I just have to do it.
Given, I know it's impossible, but given the ability and the choice, would you want to do this?
I want to grow flowers. Orchids. They're very pretty.
Hand on his shoulder.
And he looks at your hand and at the contact, and he looks at you in these big eyes and says, and I don't know how they work. and he puts down the finished little steam car on the ground and flips the switch, and it goes perfectly straight line across the floor of the garage.
And I know this is a lot to ask of you. Do you have to know how they work? Maybe they can just be a beautiful little mystery.
He
Maybe the beauty is in the mystery.
He points at the little car going away from you, and he says, I have to know how that works. And he turns again and looks at your hand and says, I want to know how orchids work.
Maybe that's what separates it from all the things that you build, from all these machines, and from all these mechanical stuff. Maybe not knowing how the orc works is how you separate it from nature and beauty to beauty in machines.
And he puts his hand on your hand and looks you deep in the eyes. Says, but how can I love it if I don't understand it?
That's something that you would have to come to terms with on your own. To learn to love something without understanding any of it, or at least parts of it.
He looks at you again, the same look, and he says, and he looks around at all the other people doing all their things, and he says, is that why none of you can focus?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's where we're gonna is where we're gonna drop the curtain on tonight.
And you see, as he
Well, let me tell you a little something about disorders.
as,
Well,
as he
he's
says
got
this,
one. He just doesn't understand yours. Yes. Sorry,
But yeah,
Koas, finish
Koas
us off. Take us out.
kind of looks around at the people around him. There's the Verite can't begin to know the intricate complexities of each person around here, and
Yep.
yet there is still that love that's felt by Verite towards every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe he can breach that
He doesn't
kind of
understand.
thought.
He doesn't understand any of you, but he loves you all. Yes, that's
Yeah,
a beautiful
maybe he
thought to
can
take us
transfer
further.
that.
Yeah. So, with that, another truly intense session. And we're going to get to the thank yous in a moment. But I have to ask, please tell me it feels like we bounced. Like we hit bottom last week, and we're starting to, I mean, the curve is real slow. It's a parabolic curve. It starts real slow, and then it starts to do that. Or does everyone feel like we bounced last week and we're on our way back up?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I bounced,
Because
but I'm not really
I
the one
dragged
that
you.
down.
Yeah.
To
'Cause
be fair, I
I
feel like
dragged your
we're leading
asses
the pace
down.
on that, and
Yeah.
we're the ones going slow.
That's okay. No, I just wanted to make sure. Two of you have been in a game where I did this before, and I beat up a group for too long and didn't give them a break. And there's no place to have a fair in this game. So, well, that's what
We're
I
going
did
to
to
Venice.
lighten things up last time. But anyway, let's get to the thank yous. Again, amazing. This is beyond role play. This was acting. It might even be beyond acting. It's something really special that this game
A
is
whole lot
doing.
of character bleed. I mean, what?
A whole lot of character, and we'll just stop there.
What?
A whole lot of character. ... Fill in the blank. Yeah, you do that. You know what? If you're, I'll flat out say it. I took it as a personal compliment every time somebody says your session made me draw something. Your session made me write something. I take that as a personal compliment. I don't care how dark the resulting art is. But thank you. And collaborative play. Yes, it isn't just collaborative storytelling. This one, with the right players, it's like I drag you down and they go, oh no, deeper, come down here, come down here, come down here. So with that, take special players like Thunderscape 7, aka Robin, Wayward Knight, aka Chris, Bison _ Stonefist, aka Bison _ Stonefist, and Phil, who is doesn't even have an AKA. It's just Phil.
Phil.
Or
Yeah.
you could do Philip, aka
Actually,
Phil.
You're actually Snowman
I am
on
Snowman,
in the
yes,
thing
that's
there.
true.
So yes, you're there
Twitch.
too.
Philip, aka Phil.
There you go.
But thank all four of you for coming down this rat hole with us, and therefore coming back up the other side starting very soon. Thank you also to the people who watch this either live or on the VOD. I appreciate it very much. The Twitch views are wonderful. And thank you also to everybody that watched this on YouTube, because damn, the last couple of weeks have been amazing. Last one we posted up there went over 100 views. I think we're at 111 views or some outrageous thing. So thank you, all of you. That's
Within like the first 3 days.
yeah. Anytime you go to triple digits, it's like, eep, that's a thing. So thank you. And if you really like it and you really watched all the way to here, please do 3 things for me. Hit the like button, because I'm going to assume you did. Hit the bell so you know when the next one's coming. And tell your friends. Tell them to get their tissues and come and watch, because it's going to get better, but it's still going to be like, holy crap, what are you doing to these people every single week for a while yet? So thank you to all the people. And that just leaves the last bit, and I'm going to go on a little bit extra tonight because I can, because it's my channel, so deal with it. I always end the same way, but before we get there, I'm going to talk about kindness and niceness again. Kindness, for me, takes a little more energy. So if you've got the spoons today, be truly kind to somebody. Take time out of your day to make their day better. And if you haven't got the spoons to do that, or if you don't meet anybody that you love that much today, until the next time you do, be nice to everybody else. Say hi. Say thank you. Let somebody else go first. Little tiny things that take fractions of a moment out of your day can really, really make a difference. That's what I mean when I say until next time, please be nice to each other. Good night.
Bye.